And then they did a package where we're almost to the 9 o'clock hour, but Natalia narrated a package on WWF in Germany in the 1990s. It was like, I remember my Uncle Brett telling me about how popular it was. But they mentioned that the first time that Raw emanated from Berlin was March 3rd, 1997. Was that not that low-rated piece of shit that led to Vince McMahon hiring Stain to begin with?
I think so, because I remember the look of it. It was just dark and dreary. It just did not look up to snuff against.
Well, and remember, it was from two places, because I did the commentary on one. We were there that night live in the studio in Stamford. One of them one location was from Berlin, and the other one was for somewhere in the Middle East. Was it? It wasn't Kuwait. Oh, God damn it. I can't reach my drawer with all my books or I'd look it up. But nevertheless, that had been the big international Raw. Vince and Kevin Dunn had the idea that since they had two international tours at that time going, that they would have tape or live or whatever the fuck. It was all on tape at some point. But they would have the Raw emanating from these two foreign locations around the world. And it would be a big deal that would show their superiority over WCW that couldn't draw in international markets. And none of the fans gave a shit, right? And besides that, it was just house show footage and matches that they were shooting. There was no story. There was no fucking live interviews coming where people were coming out and trash talk, blah, blah, blah. It was just a straight wrestling show with good matches that had not been promoted because everything was being talked about. Oh, they're in Berlin and they're in fucking Swaziland, wherever. And then when the rating came in abysmal, Vince McMahon had a breakdown and hired Shitstain on the writing staff, ignoring the fact that at least 50% of his writing staff had been saying for the previous couple weeks that those shows were going to be the shits because they were just dry matches.
I do want to go back and watch that, though. It's been years, probably since 97, that I saw Davey Boy versus Owen. I want to go back and watch that.
It was a great match. It was a house show match. And it hadn't been promoted for weeks on television. It was just people were looking, the show kind of looks okay. It's just they shot a house show. And there's no promos. And where's this thing and that thing and the other thing? And we were doing commentary over it from Stamford after the fucking fact.
And again, Nitro was live and
with two different announcing teams because you couldn't have same announcers in two different countries because people would see through it. So they had footage from two different countries and had the announcers in a studio calling it.
Could have used a time machine.
Boy, even that. I would have welcomed that rather than some of those voiceover sessions we did back then with Vince producing. Nevertheless,